Hey guys, welcome to another installment of the Academy, and thanks for watching. Neo with the Academy, back with another nostalgia chat, this time with Cross of Iron from Avalon Hill. I did a chat a while ago on the original OG Squad Leader. Thought I'd work my way through the series, the original series, this time talking about Cross of Iron. The Cross of Iron is not a self-contained game. It is, I think they called it a gamette addition to the original Squad Leader. So the core rules are in Squad Leader, and these just sort of build on that system. It actually replaces some of the rules. So this is when the Squad Leader system, the original Squad Leader system, began to expand and become more refined and add features that eventually morphed into what we know as ASL today. Now this gamette came out in, I think this is second edition, came out in 1978. And Cross of Iron, where Squad Leader is primarily an infantry game on both the East and West Front, World War II, European theater, Cross of Iron is more of an armor addition to Squad Leader, and it is exclusively Eastern Front. Everything in here is Germany versus the Soviet Union during World War II, so it's all East Front. But it does add a lot of new features, and you can see some of the features here: rockets, paratroop drops, armor leaders, target acquisition, Molotov cocktails, SS, right? A whole list of things that we are used to seeing in Advanced Squad Leader. They started being added here, and I view Cross of Iron as actually a really good addition to Squad Leader. It fleshed out the system before it started becoming a little convoluted and contradictory, which started, in my opinion, with Crescendo of Doom and became even worse in GI and the Victory. And that's the point when Avalon Hill scrapped it and said, we need to rescrub this and start over and get this all worked out and more clear, maybe less concise, but more clear and structured. And that's where ASL came out of these Squad Leader and the gamettes. Okay, this is an unpunched. Again, an unpunched. This one is in much better condition than my other box of Squad Leader that I opened a while ago. So I'm going to dig through it. I'm basically going to go through it the same way I did with the Squad Leader. You know, look at the counters, look at the map at the end, go through the rule book, talk about what's different, what they added, what's different from ASL, that kind of thing. All right. So yeah, let's dig into it. Again, I'll set this aside. Let's just start with a rulebook. Yeah, this is a second edition. Nice, clean, undamaged for the most part rulebook. One interesting thing to note here in this edition, I don't know if it was in first edition or not, they refer to some errors in the original Squad Leader boards where they changed the hex size, starting with this game at 0.015. I assume that's got to be inches. So 15 thousandths of an inch larger hex scale to correct earlier deficiency in Squad Leader. So what they did is they included reprints of map boards 1 through 4 that you find in Squad Leader, and you were supposed to paste them over the top of the map board, the hard mounted boards from Squad Leader, and those are actually in the box. The flimsy ones that you were supposed to paste on the Squad Leader boards. Never did that, and they're still in the box, and I'll show you those. You probably won't be able to see the difference between them, but that was an interesting thing they did. Instead of giving everyone new hard mounted, they just said, here's the flimsy ones, paste them on if you want. Supposedly it had to do with alignment features to make the old boards line up with the new board and the new boards going forward. Let's run through the rule book. Design credits, just John Hill. Oh no, he's research and game design. Or sorry, system game system. Game design is still Don Greenwood and John Hill. So the first thing they introduced, starting with section 63, they just start off where you left off. Uses program instructions again. Is new artillery characteristics. They added a bunch of, well, first off, they add a whole bunch more armor and guns, vehicles and guns to this system, and they're all German and Russian. So they introduced new gun and artillery features. And actually, that is before you even start with the program instruction. It's a couple pages on new artillery characteristics that you're supposed to read. Then you get into the program instruction set. First thing you notice here is they added the armor aspects to the individual counters. So now there's that we're used to seeing in ASL. There's a front armor factor and a rear armor factor, as well as superior turret, like the square around the rear. I don't think there's inferior turret in this. I think they just have a square. They later added a circle, probably in one of the follow-on gamettes, to indicate inferior turret armor, depending on which direction you're getting the hit from. They've added turreted cover arc to this. Turreted cover arc that we're all used to seeing. See this little round circle? That's the actual turret indicator. And I'll do a zoom in on some of the counters that you'll see. Very small compared to the larger versions we see on, maybe I have a counter, ASL counter here. Oh, yes, I do. Here. You can see on this Sherman how big the turret counter is, or the turret circle is. They were tiny back in the original squad leader days. What else did we add? We added crew exposure now you can do. I think they added crew survival as well. Vehicles can become immobilized by fire. You can do deliberate immobilization attempts, as well as now you can have burning AFVs instead of just wrecks. You can, if you get as we all know, if you get a good enough kill on an AFV, it can set it ablaze, which eliminates any possibility of the crew surviving and bailing out. Critical hits. They've added target acquisition. I can speak well. Moving targets, reverse movement, intensive fire, advanced overrun and close combat, and double time movement. They added that. And then they added some allied troops. Lower quality, just kind of generic allied, as we would call them, allied minor and axis minor. They added some of those units in this as well. Marsh with some bog. That's chapter, so that's scenario 13. Then we get into 14. They added armor leaders. And it's funny, the armor leader section, because I just recently read through the armor leader section. I swear it's longer in Cross of Iron than it is in the Advanced Squad Leader rule set. I don't remember it being that long. Crest status, excessive speed breakdown. If you're not familiar with, if you're a starter kit player, basically you can attempt to use more movement points than your vehicle has, but you risk the possibility, you have to make a breakdown check, right? Like blow up your transmission or something. They added that. Gullies, forest road hexes, trail breaks, cliffs. Then we get into scenario 15 rule set. They have added the dreaded SS, and I say dreaded because, yes, the SS counters in Cross of Iron are black. I'm not going to get into that stupid debate. It's just a color. Convoys, Panzerschrecks, Panzerfaust. It's kind of a big change because Panzerfaust in Cross of Iron are individual weapons, counters that you carry around and fire. In Squad Leader, they are considered an inherent part of German and sometimes Hungarian, I believe, orders of battle, depending on the year. Any German, basically squad, multi-man counter, even single-man counter, I believe, with a modifier, can roll to see if they have a Panzerfaust. And depending on the size of your order of battle and the number of squads you have, dictates, and the year dictates how many inherent Panzerfausts you have. In Cross of Iron, they were actual counters you carried around and fired like a Panzerschreck or a bazooka. Same with anti-tank magnetic mines. They were an explicit support weapon in Cross of Iron. They are an inherent support weapon in ASL. They added armor cars, anti-tank rifles into Scenario 16. Prisoners. I've forgotten that they added prisoners in Cross of Iron. I thought that came later. Captured equipment and vehicles. Everyone uses captured equipment all the time because it happens fairly frequently. I don't recall ever capturing a vehicle in playing Squad Leader, Cross of Iron, or even ASL. I can't remember ever capturing a vehicle because I believe a vehicle has to be abandoned, completely abandoned, which doesn't happen often. And then you have to try to take it over. And I don't think I've ever even done it, to be honest. Height advantage, infantry height advantage. Cavalry, which I think I've played one scenario with cavalry, if I remember. I should try it again sometime. Battlefield integrity, introduced in Cross of Iron. Still not used today in ASL. I don't know anyone who's... There are probably a few people who have used it, but nobody wants to... ASL is complicated enough. They don't want to have a side spreadsheet to track battlefield integrity. Nobody uses it. Then they added inexperienced infantry. And they just added sort of a generic... so they have inexperienced German and inexperienced Russian. They don't say whether they're green or conscript. That the class level of your order of battle was not added until maybe Crescendo Doom. You know, elite, first line, second line, green, conscript. Here they're just generic inexperienced as 4.36s for both sides. Machine gun sustained fire. Now they didn't change the defensive fire system in Cross of Iron. In other words, first fire, subsequent first fire, final protected fire, final fire. But they did add sustained fire to this. Now snipers, big difference between Cross of Iron snipers and ASL snipers. In Squad Leader Cross of Iron, snipers were an actual unit with a counter that you could control. In ASL, it's pretty much out of your control. It's sort of a random chaotic event that can occur once in a while, depending on the sniper activation number for your side in a particular scenario. In Cross of Iron, you're actually, in the order of battle, there will be a sniper counter. There's different qualities, from a -1 die roll modifier all the way to a -4. The strength factors are all the same. They're all 1, 8, 8. So 1 firepower, 8 range, and 8 morale. And the thing about these snipers is they can move. You can move them around. They only have a range of 8, but you can move them around. But they're hidden unless a unit or units that are fired on from the sniper has a sniper check. And the sniper check, I believe, means different from full ASL. So if a unit is fired on by a sniper, that unit can pick any hex in its line of sight and ask if the sniper counter is there. If it is, it's put on board under a concealment counter. But it does fire on the infantry fire table, so it's a 1 firepower. I mean, if it's within range, with its modifier and normal, TEM and moving in the open type of modifier. So You know, if you have a couple units running through open ground and you have a -4 sniper, you get hit with a potentially a 1 -6 shot. So snipers were a little more deadly because you could control them. At least I feel they were a little more deadly in Cross of Iron because you could actually control them. You could choose who you wanted to fire at. In addition, you could choose the target. So you fired at a hex, whether it was moving or not, and there were 3 units in it, 1 leader or 2 squads. You could say, I'm targeting the leader. You specifically could say, I'm targeting the leader, which you would always do because getting any effect on a multi-man counter on a squad does next to nothing. So if you get a KIA result, it eliminates leader and scouts, which are introduced in maybe Crescendo of Doom, I think, or another sniper. You could fire at another sniper, or just get a normal morale check if you fire against a squad or crew. If you get any sort of morale check, it's no effect. So you would always be targeting leaders with these things, even if it's in a stack moving or that's sitting still. So snipers are vastly different in Cross of Iron than ASL. I don't know why they made it more abstract going from one to the other. Maybe they felt they were a little too overpowered and deadly in the original squad leader system, because I feel they actually were. Yeah, huge difference. So Molotov cocktails added, partisans they added. It's kind of a generic 336 partisan. Parachute drops. Parachute drops are actually pretty simple in Cross of Iron. Then scenario 20, which I think is the last scenario. There's only 8 scenarios in this. They have Stuka, so there's dive bombing attempts you can do, air support. And then they added some fire and weather effects at the end here. Fire, wind, spreading fire, that kind of thing. And that's it. So how many pages? 57. It's about 18 pages of rules over 8 scenarios. So 2-3 pages of rules for each scenario on average for Cross of Iron. Then they have some optional supplemental rules: alternate route, armor crew morale, vehicle radio. Some of this stuff got folded into ASL later on, maybe even Cross of Iron or Crescendo of Doom as well. Ammo depletion. These are all things that we're familiar with in full ASL. Location of hit. Yeah, okay. When a turret vehicle presents different turret vehicular facings or possesses a blah blah blah, additional die rolls should be thrown to determine which facing has been hit and consequently which of the facings armor modifier is used to resolve. Die roll of 1 to 2 is a hit on the turret. 3 to 6 is a hull or vehicle facings. Yeah, they started giving you the idea of is it an upper structure hit or a lower structure hit, and I believe that became a default in the later rule set. When I revisit Crescendo of Doom and GI later on, we'll make sure we touch on that. Then we start getting into armor listings. This is the beginnings of what we're familiar with as Chapter H. There's no description of each vehicle. All we have is the pertinent details. But this is a format that we're familiar with, except this is 4 pages maybe. But you can see the amount of Russian artillery and vehicles they added. I think in Squad Leader there were maybe 5 different Russian vehicles and maybe 1 gun and 1 mortar or something. Not a whole lot in the original Squad Leader system. They added a lot, built out the vehicle and gun armories on these 2 nationalities quite a bit in crossover, and that was the goal, to revise the vehicle and tank AFV rules. And a lot of Q&As, at least in this one. Well, back of the day, this was a lot. Today, this is nothing for Q&A. Index and kind of an advanced sequence of play. Okay. Oh, what should we look at next? Should we look at the counters? Let's do the half-inch counters first. Do them the long way again, like I did with squad leader. There they are. The evil black SS. We have 658s. That's it, 658 and half squads. Bunch of leaders, and you can see here the SS snipers. Here we have Russian conscripts and German conscripts. They actually are marked with a C. In the manual, they are not marked with the image in the manual. They are not marked with a C. But you can see other units here aren't marked with any sort of quality. These are just marked at this point to indicate that they are in general conscripts. Kind of maybe a predecessor to the quality that's coming later with units. Then they give us some of the partisans here, some more engineers. I think there were Russian engineers in the original squad leader, and a bunch of Panzerfaust counters, armor leaders, turret counters here, anti-tank magnetic mines, and some support weapons. They added light mortars, anti-tank rifles, and here's the miners down here. Now, I don't think it indicated whether maybe it can be used as both Allied and Axis at this point. All it said was miners. So that's what those are. And then acquisition counters and various information counters and more berserk counters down here. I like the red berserk counters. Gives you a clear indicator of what's going crazy on the board. All right, let's look at the German armor. This is going to be a shock. Us old school players, we're used to this, and I'm not going to lie, I kind of liked it. Maybe I'll put it this way. I like the dark blue German vehicle counters. Why they're dark blue? The reasoning why they're dark blue for the armor compared to the the lighter blue that we're used to for the Germans, I don't know why they're different, but I kind of dig it. Quality is not that great. I mean, there's a lot of off-centerness. I think they look cool. So you can see here, maybe I can zoom in. You see the tiny turret circles on here. I'm glad they went away from that because those are very, very small. Like, is this, okay, that's a turret that's open topped. Yeah, they're so small, it's hard to tell. So yeah, a lot of Russian vehicles. Here's Stukas down here. That's not even all the Germans. These are just vehicles. There's another sheet with guns on it. So yeah, they built out the vehicle order of battle quite a bit for these two nationalities. And then here comes some Russian. Not gonna lie, I've always liked the yellow. I've always liked the differentiation between the color on the infantry counters and the vehicles in this system. I don't know why. Maybe it's a nostalgia thing. So we got some more vehicles down here, and then some of the German guns, and then we're starting into the Russian guns, Russian vehicles, cavalry, paradrop counters, and then we have here the rest of the Russian order of battle from Cross of Iron. Must take a lot of work to do the initial research on, back then doing research to try to figure out, what armor factors to use, which had to be revamped again for ASL, but to use for the system they had in Cross of Iron, what armor factors to use. It's not like today where we have the internet and you can find just gross details on every tank imaginable on all these websites, all their armaments, armor thicknesses, everything. That back then it must have been a pain to do the research for these counters. In addition to getting the artwork, perhaps. Okay, that's a Russian. I think that's it for the counters. It is. Let's look at the quick reference data cards. Let's go this way. Front side is pretty much unchanged. Infantry fire table is unchanged. It's pretty much the same in squad or advanced squad leader, like I said in the previous video. They maybe added some infantry movement costs for some new terrain that was introduced. The big difference is on the back. The two hit table is pretty much the same. I think they added, vehicles and other and bridge. They added maybe a couple lines on here. They're also still using on the kill table the front, side, and rear are listed as independent two kill numbers, and then it's modified by whether it's a front, side, or rear hit on the armor factors off the vehicle. I have an ASL counter here just to show, the 2 and the 1. But when they went from the squad leader system to ASL, they had to completely revamp it again because they eliminated front, side, and rear on the 2 kill table, which means they had to make adjustments to the armor factors that they'd previously used when they updated this for squad leader, because the 2 kill table for ASL just has one number depending on gun size and sometimes nationality. Then they had to make these whatever changes and generalizations they made in here. They had to roll that into these new fudged armor factors on every counter. So that must have been fun to do as well. But you can see some other things they've added here. They've added range modifier. They've added up here on the 2 hit. They've added barrel length modifier, short barrel, long barrel, double long or extra long barrel. Yeah, they've added some extra stuff in this Cross of Iron system into these quick reference data card. But as you notice, it still fits on one sheet, double-sided. All the charts you need for squad leader through the Cross of Iron game mat. How about the scenarios? See if people remember these scenarios. And these are still, they're not even torn off the sheet here. Capture of Balta. One thing you'll notice about these scenarios, again, they're all Eastern Front, Russian and German scenarios. They're all beefy scenarios. Back in the day, almost even early ASL, all the scenarios they were big. They took quite a while to play. There were a lot of units. They were long, 10 turns, 12 turns. It's nice to see that in general, the system started moving away from that and making more, shorter, quicker playing scenarios. Nothing wrong with these, but sometimes when that's all you have to play, you just want to play something light sometimes. So ASL has so many options now. You can play super light scenarios or just insanely complex, beefy scenarios. But these are all pretty heavy scenarios. I mean, got 30 units, off-board artillery, not much in vehicles, but a lot of units and 10 game turns. Paw the Tiger. This was, I remember, is a classic armor class. Yeah, lots of armor here. 10 turns. Hube's Pocket. Again, another fairly beefy scenario. 18 squads, 10 squads, lots of Panzerfaust, 12 squads, lots of Panzerfaust, SS, and a bunch of vehicles as well. 12 turns scenario. Big beefy scenario. Then Sauco 79, 4 boards, 10 turns, lots of units. Yeah. Where are we at? Debacle at Korsten. Yep, 13 units, 18 Russian conscripts. No thank you. On horseback. Defensive Luga, and again, big board, 12 turns, tons of units. I mean, the Russians have, what do we have here? Almost 40 squads and 12 vehicles. Yeah, big scenarios here. Winter melee. Conscripts on cavalry. Paratroop drop, I assume, yeah, and in the snow. And Breakout from Borisov. Weird, kind of a weird, I won't say weird, strange board configuration. Yeah. Geez, another near 50 squads, 10 turns long. Yeah. Three radios. You got off-board artillery for days. Another thing I noticed here is if you remember from the video I did about Squad Leader, where it had variations at the bottom of some of them, there's no variations here. You just have special scenario rules. They seem to have gotten rid of the variation thing. At least I didn't notice any in here. Yeah, just special scenario rules. Yeah, those are the scenarios, all 8 of them in Cross of Iron. Let's look at board 5. And I have, just like I did with Squad Leader, I did it with one board. I've got, there's the original, and then I have the redone starter kit style here to compare. The thing I've always found interesting about this board is Cross of Iron is an, revamped vehicle slash armor system, fleshed it out a lot. Tons of vehicles and guns in the order of battle. And the board they add is nearly all woods. It's an incredibly unfriendly vehicle board. So I find it a little strange that this is the board they chose to add for in the game mat that completely kind of revamps the armor system and vehicle system in Squad Leader. But that's what the original looks like, and the new one, or the SK style one, looks like this. Man, the woods are a lot. I never noticed that before. The woods are a lot darker in here. You can almost not tell that they're tree. Here you can know, yeah, those are trees. Here those are so dark. It's almost hard to see the tree symbol in there. Are they all like that, or am I going crazy? Maybe it's because I just have this one here and I'm seeing it for the first time in a long time. How light this is and how you can easily see the woods depiction. This looks really dark, but not too much difference here. Just color differences. Other than that, it looks very similar. Yep. Okay. And lastly, I've got not that this is really thrilling, but these are the paper ones that you're supposed to glue onto your old Squad Leader boards, which clearly were never done with this good condition Cross of Iron game. I mean, 15 thousandths of an inch isn't a whole lot, but when if you spread it across, I don't know however many hexes this is, 30 something. I suppose it can add up as far as alignment goes when they spread it across that many hexes, 15 thousandths of an inch. That difference stacks up. But yeah, these are never used, never will be used. The last thing, I was curious, maybe it's not in here, but I've got a parts list. Do a friend a favor. Oh, registration card. Okay. Leave that there. I was wondering how much this cost. Oh, here it is. $12. This is from Spring 97 for this version, second edition. Okay, this game mat is $12. How much is Squad Leader? Did they raise the price? $12. Okay. Either Squad Leader is really underpriced for what you get, or Cross of Iron is overpriced. I mean, you do get a huge order of battle, but you don't get much in board. You get one board essentially in 8 scenarios. Fewer scenarios, 3 fewer boards, but a lot more. I guess you're paying for the research for the German and Russian orders of battle, I suppose. But yeah, Cross of Iron and expansion game mat is the same price as the original Squad Leader, at least back in $12, at least back in 1979. Okay, that is it. Back in the day, I thought Cross of Iron was a great expansion to the system. I started feeling less so when Crescendo of Doom came out, and I'll get into that down the road when I go through it. But another good walk down the path of nostalgia, talking about Cross of Iron. And you can see, when I talked about and went through it, the stuff they started to add to the system that to this day we still use in Advanced Squad Leader. So the innovation that was begun in Squad Leader, the evolution began in Cross of Iron and continued in the next two gamettes that I'll do videos for. Okay, that's it for this video. Should I roll the dice? I don't have any dice laying about. At least not right here. I won't roll this time. I know I would roll Snake Eyes right off the bat, so we'll just call it good. All right, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe, please. I know not the last video, a while ago I said I don't shill, but this is the end. If you made it this far, however long I'm at, yeah, just hit the subscribe button. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps the channel out, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate the support, and we'll see you in the next video. Get to the chopper! If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you saw, thanks for watching, and let me know how I can do better. See you in the next video.